I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get it, no call it quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve, stress, seal my greed. That's how I get it, success ain't no given. Some days I don't eat, I don't sleep. When I'm focused, I'm dangerous, down, wonder when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank, I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze, the roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag, I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag, I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket, Houston, we got a problem, man. Perfect, let them watch me elevating, got them nauseous. Cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit, nose diving in the housing. Woo! Watch how I get it here, watch how I get it here, watch how I get it here. Woo!
It's time! Welcome to DFS by the Numbers with your host, Brady.
Better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers, and welcome to my final thoughts live stream of UFC Vegas 90. We got Brendan Allen going against Chris Curtis. We are right back in the apex for this card. Now down to 12 fights. We were supposed to have actually 14 fights originally. Joshua Van was supposed to fight on this card. That fell through. And then today, fortunately, we lost the Calvillo fight. So we don't have to watch that. Thankfully, I don't have to talk about that fight. But yeah, now down to 12 fights for this week. Some spots sticking out. I'm keeping it light this card. I'm going to be going very heavy for UFC 300. I'm going to get some bets out for UFC 300 probably tonight or tomorrow. I've been sick all week, so all I've been doing is taping fights for UFC 300, and I think I have like 2 or 3 more fights to go. But yeah, lots of spots sticking out next week. This week, a couple spots, but clearly a sketchy card. I think you can make a case for pretty much every single underdog on the entire card. I think there's a lot of live underdogs. These lines have gotten crushed throughout the week. Like I was looking at GDR potentially on Sunday at plus 170. She's now plus 105. Calvillo's line got smashed. Peak's lines getting hit. A lot of these underdogs are their lines have been moving quite a bit throughout the week. So looking forward to talking about it, see if we can make some money on this Apex card. And yeah, looking forward to getting back into it. I say we hit up the chat. And if you guys can please like it, it's always much, much appreciated. We got Sniper first from the building. Here we go. What is up, Sniper? We got Patrick saying happy Friday. Happy Friday to you as well. Michael saying big bands Brady in here. What is up, Michael? We got Sniper saying, you better move, you might get knocked out. Absolutely. You better move, you might get knocked out. Let's get it, Brady. Let's get it. Raul, Calvillo is lock of the week. She cannot lose. I agree. She cannot lose. She cannot lose this Saturday. That's for sure. I was actually looking at maybe betting Calvillo this week and then ended up passing. The line kind of got away. I'm so glad that fight is not on the card, so I don't have to bet on it or talk about it even. We got Patrick saying, I was at the fights last week. It was a fun card to see live, but the venue sucked. Seats were mad uncomfortable. Yeah, that card made me mad uncomfortable. I mean, the last week was just an absolute crapshoot. The reffing, the judging, the eye pokes, everything just went wrong. I'm so glad I didn't go to that card. If I did, I'd be pissed off. But I guess the fights were fun. It's just like some of the stuff going on were just terrible. We got Dix in the chat. What is up? Don't forget, we have 3 OnlyFans fades this week. Norma Dumont, Charlie Campbell, and Chepe Mariscal. And I don't think I'm betting on any of those 3 fights, but I don't think I'm picking any of those fighters as well. What's up, Brady? Is the Calvillo fight off? Yes, it is. Thankfully, that fight is off. We got AW in the building. Elder. Hey, Brady. What is up, Elder? Hope you're feeling better. Yeah, started getting really sick Saturday, Sunday especially. If you guys saw Stat Diggers on Sunday, I was like bedridden during the intro of the show. Half joking, but half like I was really feeling terrible. Had the flu. My temperature was like 102 is terrible. And then Monday, I was like, it's got to get better, right? And then Monday felt worse. And then Tuesday felt worse. And then Wednesday started feeling a little bit better. Thursday feeling a little bit better. And today I'm feeling a little bit better. Hopefully better for tomorrow. So many weight misses. Sheesh. Yes, a lot of weight misses. We had 2 on the same fight. We had Alexander Hernandez miss weight by 5 pounds originally. And then we had Calvillo miss weight, the fight's off. So yeah, weird weigh-ins this week for sure. Had a couple guys look really bad, like Damon Jackson, and Bahamondes didn't look amazing. So it was interesting. We'll talk about all of that in more depth. We got Jacob in the building. What is up, Brady? Let's bounce back this week. Yes, looking to bounce back. What I'll say is whatever happens this week, it can't be any worse than last week. So that's what I'm looking forward to and hanging on for this week here. But yeah, don't have a ton of action, but we'll see if we can make some money. All right. I say we get into it. And by the way, the betting breakdown video will be out this evening, couple hours, and then also best bet probably tomorrow. I still got to find, a couple guys to come on, but I'm sure I will. And then we got D Nice. What is up? What is up? All right, let's we got Clark saying, "Hey Brady, after betting advice, I feel like I've gone down for a few weeks on end this year. Do you have any advice on getting back on track, changing strategies? Thanks. Love your videos." I don't know. I mean, if you have a process, I'd say stick to it. There will be highs and then there will be lows. There will be losing streaks and there'll be winning streaks. Like 2 years ago, I had the worst losing streak of my life. I lost 6 cards in a row, and I was like I can't buy a win. And then I got down to like 23 units up tracked lifetime. And then since that 6-event losing streak, I went on to gain like almost 100 units since then. So I say just stick to it. Stick to your process. I'm on a 1-card losing streak, but yeah, last week was terrible. But like I said, this card, whatever happens, it won't be as bad as last week. So, but yeah, appreciate you, Clark. And then James saying, bet the house. It's terrible advice, James. Come on, let's not bet the house on anything. All right. I say we get into these fights. We're going to go with Melissa Mullins going against Nora Cornhole. And yeah, we got Mullins as one of the biggest favorites on the card. We got Mullins sitting at minus 340, Cornhole sitting at plus 280, which, yeah, that'll officially make Mullins the biggest favorite on the card, which is certainly concerning. But yeah, I like Mullins in this matchup. I guess they both did miss weight. I think they both came in a couple pounds overweight, so I don't know how to really look into that. Mullins did not look great. Cornhole looked good, I suppose, but it doesn't really change the view on the fight here. My view on the fight is Nora Cornhole has a hole in her game, and that hole is going to be the takedown defense, the grappling, her game on bottom. We saw Jocelyn Edwards go out there, take her down, put her in some really bad spots on the mat. And, Mullins can get takedowns, and Mullins on top is very good. She's a brown belt in BJJ. She has some grappling. I think the sub could be there. And then on top of that, she has vicious ground and pound as well. So I kind of see Mullins getting on top here and finding a finish at some point in this fight. So I don't have a ton of bets on this fight, but I do have a 0.75 unit shot on Mullins inside the distance at plus 270. I think she takes her down, and I don't know if it's a sub, I don't know if it's TKO, but I think she can get Cornhole out of there at some point. And then on DraftKings, I do like Mullins as well. 9,300 takedown upside, control time upside. And like I said, I think there'll be some finish upside as well. And I don't think she's going to have a ton of ownership. So I know it's tough trusting Melissa Mullins, the biggest favorite on the card, but this is one of the spots that did stick out this week, and a spot that I'm going to stick with, and not going too crazy on it, but I think Mullins can make this look pretty easy. And the game plan, the path is absolutely there. This Court McGee fight seems too easy. Maybe. I mean, I have a different take on it than I think a lot of people will, but I think Morono should win the fight. That's for sure. We got Curtis in the building. What's poppin'? What is up, Curtis? I had my house on Calvillo. I was looking at maybe betting her as well, but missed the line. Melissa Dixon Sider giving me Roxanne about a very awkward nerd vibes. Okay. You don't trust her anymore. Yeah, she looked weird. I don't know what was going on with her away. She looked weird, but hopefully she's okay. Agree, Melissa is better. She might even finish on the ground. Yeah, I think it should be night and day on the mat. I'm not sure Cornhole is UFC caliber. I'll probably regret parlaying Melissa. I think she should win. Question, Brady, serious question. Did you see the glasses Dixon wears? How can she see anything without them? Can they use contacts for the fight, or will she basically be blind? I guess you'll have to ask her. I'm not an expert in terms of whether what they wear in the octagon. Peak by way of country ass whooping. We shall see. And then Calvillo fight is off. Yes, it is. It is absolutely off. Thank God. All right, let's move on to the next fight. And yeah, a lot of these prelims, I'm just straight up just passing on. I mean, Dylan Bucka, Cesar Almeida, striker versus grappler matchup. I think it's gonna be one of those fights where it's like, are the judges going to favor the 4 minutes of control that Bucka got in a round, or are they going to favor the couple good strikes that Cesar Almeida landed whilst the fight was on the feet? I feel like it's a close fight. I feel like, the value is probably on Almeida, but Bucka does have a path to victory with the wrestling. Very good wrestler, wrestling background. He can make this fight very boring, very unbearable to watch, and that could be enough to kind of grind out a decision. But if Almeida is able to stuff the takedowns long enough to keep this on the feet for a little bit, he could just do enough damage to kind of win the decision here. So it's a fight I don't really want anything to do with. On DraftKings, I suppose, you can make a case for both guys. With Bucka, you got the takedown, control time upside. And with Almeida, you got maybe knockout upside, but the striking upside there. But from a betting perspective, it's not really one I want to touch there. I don't trust Almeida. 36 years old, 4 MMA fights. I could definitely see a path to victory here for Bucka, but I'm going to pick Almeida just, due to the damage over control judging that we've been seeing as of late. So yeah, this is a big giant pass for me, like a lot of these prelims this week. I like Morono and Bahamondes as a parlay. Kind of want to add a third, but don't want to be greedy. I think both those guys do win. Bucka looked a weight class smaller. Yeah, Almeida's a big dude, big, strong dude. I like Almeida here, but I'm hesitant. Yes, feeling the same way. I'm hesitant as well because Bucka does have a path. Can Bucka finish, or is he a decision man? Yeah, I don't think he's finishing anybody ever. I mean, his Contender Series fight was the worst fight I've ever seen in my life, but he got the win. Nice to have a card tomorrow, which is basically a Contender Series episode. Yeah, especially these prelims, I'd say. Some good fights on the main card. We got Sammy saying, happy Friday, Brady. Lots of tricky spots on this card, but I think we will get some bangers. Yeah, I think we'll get some bangers for sure. We got Trevor Peak on the card. That's all we need. I got Caesar. He's not that bad on the ground, and I like that he's bigger than Dylan. And then maybe a Almeida decision, no bet. I don't hate it. Haven't seen the line on it, but could be interesting. Is Lucas Breski a lock? No, but I can't wait to talk about that fight. Actually, I can wait to talk about that fight. I don't know what the heck that fight's doing on the card, but Mullins, Moreno, Bahamondes, rank and order your confidence. Mullins number 1, Morono number 2, Bahamondes number 3, but I do like all 3. Brady, did I see right that fighters are up for next week's DFS card? Did you? Are they up already? I saw they got some contest up, but I don't know if they got the salaries out. If so, that'd be freaking sweet. I can check right now though. But let's take a look here. UFC 300. And you saw it wrong, Dixon. You saw it wrong. You got me excited. If you're talking about DraftKings, Marvin saying, how late am I to the party? Not too late. We just talked about the Bucka fight and the Mullins fight. Plus 150. Don't hate it. I guess maybe Bucka could sub Almeida, but I highly doubt that. I think that's not a bad look. All right, next we got Gene Matsumoto going against Dan Aretta. And we have G Matsumoto minus 160, Dan Aretta around like plus 140. And another close fight here. I think there's reasons to like both guys on the feet. You got Gene Matsumoto, who's a very good striker. I like the striking quite a bit, but I guess the thing that I didn't like seeing from him was he's just kind of content to play off his back. He is a BJJ black belt. He's content to lose minutes, and Dan Aretta definitely has a path to victory here. But again, it's back to like that damage over control type argument, right? But in this case, with Dylan Bucka, I think he's not going to land any strikes. Whereas with Dan Aretta, at least I think he's going to do a little bit more on the feet than like a Dylan Bucka. So I could see a scenario where Dan Aretta is able to mix in takedowns here, win some minutes on the mat. But I think it's another close fight. A fight I just don't really feel like I need to get involved in, but it's absolutely a dog or pass situation. From a DraftKings perspective, it's for sure dog or pass. Aretta is 7,400 for a guy that has in a win wrestling upside, takedown upside, control time upside. I kind of like Aretta on DraftKings, but that's about it for me. So Dan Aretta from a DraftKings perspective makes a lot of sense at that price tag, especially because if he wins, he will be wrestling. But I'm not sure I can get there from a betting perspective. Taking a huge stab on Curtis by KO at plus 300. We'll be talking about that. I may or may not be on that one as well. We got Spencer in the building. What is up, Spencer? I see a lot of people on Dan. I don't know. Pass for me betting wise. Yeah, I'm passing on it. I don't have faith in either of these guys, but I definitely don't have faith laying minus 160 or whatever on Gene Matsumoto. Brady, not going to lie, I thought Dan was going to be a lot smaller. He's not. He might be slightly bigger, thicker. I think Aretta steamrolls now. Yeah, it could be a good spot for him. It could be a good spot for him. If Gary Copeland is reffing this week, I'm TKOing. Yeah, I almost TKO'd my TV as well last week after Gary Copeland shenanigans. I picked Gene. Don't like Dan's last two fights, so it's Gene by decision. Could see it. Dog or pass, agreed, and he's a pit bull. Yes, he is. He's definitely a pit bull. But yeah, it should be another close fight here. All right, moving on, we got Victor Hugo going against Pedro Falcao. Another dog or pass spot for me here. I was not expecting to like the Falcao side this week, but at the same time, it's like he's coming in here on very, very short notice, whereas Hugo has had a full camp. And I like Hugo. This is a guy that's, sells out for the grappling. He's able to get fights down to the mat, but he's taken on Pedro Falcao, who's a black belt, and BJJ has been a black belt for a while. He's never been submitted. So if Hugo's not able to sub Falcao, like what's this fight going to look like? I think his fight's going to play out on the ground the majority of the time. I could see like back and forth scrambles between the two, but again, another close fight. So yeah, dog or pass, but they're not giving you a ton of big plus money at all on this fight. You would think that, Hugo might be a bigger favorite considering Falcao literally just took the fight, but that is not the case at all. We got Hugo Silva only minus 130, and then we got Falcao you're only getting plus 110. So plus 110 for a guy coming in here on a couple days notice. I'm not sure I really want to get there, but as far as a pick, I'm kind of leaning him. From a DraftKings perspective, I think both sides are in play. I think if Hugo Silva wins, maybe he does get an early finish. And then if Falcao wins, could be maybe a late finish if Hugo does slow down. But I think we're going to get a lot of scrambles, and I think this fight's going to play out in the mat quite a bit. But yeah, the lean would be Falcao, but they're kind of all over it. I mean, I was expecting a much better line considering he literally just took the fight. Matsu is a pipsqueak, going to get rolled. Stop betting on Dana White's Contender Series debutants at favorite odds. Yeah, it doesn't work out a lot of the times. Victor Hugo looked like skinny like a string being. I don't remember him being this skinny or tall. Was Falcao just smaller? I'm not sure. I had to go back and look at his past weigh-ins. Nothing really stuck out to me though. But yeah, feels like a DWCS fight here. Probably because both these guys did fight on DWCS. Falcao back in 2021. They didn't sign him, and then Hugo got that submission in the second round. Could be live betting Falcao after round one because Hugo does seem like he slows down a little bit. Like this guy sells out for those subs, and I'm not sure he's subbing a black belt in Falcao. So maybe a live bet spot. I got Hugo. Don't know much about that. Falcao. Yeah, Falcao's on a pretty big win streak. His last loss, he was like an injury TKO. He hurt his arm or something. And then he won on the Contender Series back in like 2021. Cardio will decide this fight, in my opinion. Yeah, it could. And that's the thing. Like Hugo, I think he does slow down a tad as the fight goes on, but Falcao, he's literally taken this fight just a couple days ago. So what's his cardio going to look like? UFC 300 is Hill a lock. Brady, absolutely not. Jamal Hill, no. I still got to look. That's the one fight I still got to look into. I still got to look into that fight. And then the Holloway Gaethje fight. But no, I don't think so. I don't think Hill's a lock at all. But what's up, Forrest? Good to see you in here. Appreciate you for stopping by. Let's keep moving on to the next fight. We got Norman Dumont going against GDR. We got massive line movement. So I was breaking down this fight on Sunday with Uncle Weezy, and GDR was like plus 160s. Probably should have better there, but at the same time, it's like, man, it's a sketchy spot because she has not fought in like 3.5 years. She's coming off of her pregnancy. Dumont's much, much younger, the fighter that's been more active, more likely to make improvements. But, I was saying to myself, like, if GDR shows up and looks half as good as she did, 3-4 years ago, I think she beats Dumont. And I think everybody just saw the same exact thing there because this line's been just crushed. And at this point, I'm betting GDR at plus 105 just seems like not the best idea. But yeah, if you got in on GDR early, I think that's solid. But at this point, I missed the line. and no reason to go out there and chase. But yeah, it's still probably a dog or pass. But I don't know. Deont did look really good at the weigh-ins today. She looked in great shape. She was able to make weight. I was actually concerned that she would not make weight because she's huge. Even for featherweight, she's pretty big featherweight. But yeah, she made bantamweight. So, and GDR is like 39, massive layoff. I'm not sure what we're going to expect. So, yeah, I think this should be closer to a pick'em. The line has moved closer to that pick'em, but I can't pull the trigger, especially now that I missed the line by like 70 cents. So, from a DraftKings perspective, I'm fading Deont. I don't think she scores good. I like the Deont less on fantasy points on prize picks as well. Like, even if Deont wins, it's probably a terrible fight where she's cage pushing, maybe gets a takedown or two. So yeah, not too high on this fight from a DraftKings perspective. And then as far as a betting perspective, like I said, if you got GDR early, you beat a ton of line movement, you get to hold your CLV trophy, and we'll see if it hits for you, because pretty sure everybody's on GDR this week. GDR is levels better than Deont. Yep, GDR 3-4 years ago is GDR at 40 years old going to be levels above? That is yet to be seen. Damon Jackson by hairline. Yeah, I saw he did something with his hair. Norma is about to put on a clinic. Maybe like a cage pushing clinic. I could see her like pushing GDR against the cage. You think the Almeida fight goes over 1.5? Probably. Brady, I'm going to go ahead and take full credit for moving the GDR line on all books with the OnlyFans fade on Norma. Good point. I'm sure a lot of people are on her, though. GDR 2025 champ. And 2025 should be like 40, 41. That would kind of shock the world a little. But I don't know. Like, she honestly could for us. I mean, who's going to stop her? Raquel Pennington? I don't know. GDR probably wins, but Norma and her cake pull through. Could be. Her cake could pull through. Deont always loses to tall fighters like Chazon and Megan Anderson. Deont making weight. I still can't believe it. She probably gets finished in round 2. I was kind of surprised she made weight. She not only made weight, like, she looked great. She looked incredible. So maybe best shape of her career even. Yeah, it's a sketchy fight for sure. So probably staying away from that one. Moving on. We got one last one. We got Bulo saying, last time I bet on Norma fight, it was the fight doesn't go decision against Chandler. Watching her run away was so painful. Sketchy fight. Yeah, that was painful to watch. Watching Chelsea Chandler run away. GDR decent play and DK. I don't know. Like, I think whatever happens in this fight, it's probably going to score pretty terribly. Is kind of how I'm seeing it. But maybe I think the finish upside's on GDR for sure. Like, Demont's not finishing anybody ever. All right. Anyway, we got Alex Morono going against Court McGee. And yeah, Alex Morono is the second biggest favorite on the card, and I think it's probably warranted. He's minus 290 here. Court McGee looks to be on his way out, looks to be slowing down, looks to be on a massive decline. Has back-to-back first-round knockout losses to Jeremiah Wells and Matt Brown. So yeah, I like Court McGee here to win the fight, but I actually like the over. And if you guys know me, you guys know that I don't typically bet overs, but this is one I pulled the trigger on. I have one unit on the over 2.5 at minus 130. The reason being is, Court McGee, yes, he's been knocked out his last 2 fights, but typically a very, very durable guy, very tough to get out of there. And Jeremiah Wells obviously has a ton of power. And Matt Brown, although 41, has a ton of power. You take a look at Alex Morono, not really much of a finisher. Like, Alex Morono, his only knockout win off the top of my head comes against Donald Cerrone in the first round, and then also like Zach Otto. Other than that, it's all decisions for Alex Morono, sub Tim Means as well. But yeah, other than that, it's just a bunch of decisions. And this guy's fought a ton in the UFC, probably like 20 fights for Morono. So I think Morono does the better work, the better striking. Maybe he does hurt Court McGee, but I kind of see this fight going to decision, and I think that over at only minus 130 is pretty solid. Like, if Court McGee didn't just get flatlined by Matt Brown, I think we're laying like minus 200 on this over rather than minus 130. So Alex Morono has some power, but not as much power as Wells or Matt Brown. So give me Morono by decision, and I'm on that over, one of the few spots I do like this week. From a DraftKings perspective, it's hard for me to get up there. 9,200 from Morono. There are some spots I do like a little bit better. Like, I like Mullins better. I like Bahamondes better. Even Walter Walker, I think, has more upside with the wrestling. And then as far as Court McGee, I'm not really touching him at all. So, but yeah, give me Morono and Morono by decision. So the over 2.5 is better than the Morono money line. I'd say so. I mean, the over 2.5 is only minus 230, but Morono money line's like minus 300 just about. Morono is content with cruising to a decision, no sense of urgency to finish unless it's opportunistic. Yeah, he's not much of a finisher, and he can hurt guys, but he was able to get Cowboy out of there and Zach Otto, but that's about it. I'll be using Morono as a parlay piece this week. I think it hits. I personally won't be, just because, I mean, I don't think Alex Morono should be minus 300 against anybody, but at the same time, it's hard to pick Court McGee. McGee's chin not looking good lately. Morono will KO him. Yep. It could happen. It could happen, but I just think there's a ton of recency bias in this line in terms of the over under. Brady, who's going to be the highest owned 9K guys? I think Mullins will be a little bit lower owned. I don't know. I think Allen's going to have a ton of ownership, but he's 8,900. Bahamondes should have some solid ownership. Yeah, I'd say probably Bahamondes. Yeah, probably Bahamondes. I actually think Morono is going to have some decent ownership as well. Yeah, I don't bet overs often. I think this is like the first over I bet maybe all year. Court McGee is reaching Rick Glenstad. Let's not go that far. Let's not go that far. And yes, he was, and then he got caught in that third round. So yeah, give me Morono to get it done here. All right, moving on. We have the fight of the night, the fight that I'm really looking forward to. Charlie Campbell going against Trevor Peek. We got Charlie Campbell as a minus 170 favorite, Trevor Peek plus 145. This is probably like the toughest fight for me to call on the card, because you have, Charlie Campbell, I think, is just a much, 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 much better mixed martial artist, but sometimes that doesn't always lead to wins. With Trevor Peek, you have a guy with just incredible heart, incredible durability, just so hard to get out of there. And I could just see this fight playing out a bunch of different ways. Like, I could see Charlie Campbell beating the crap out of Trevor Peek and just getting exhausted, just beating the crap out of him. Trevor Peek pulling a Homer Simpson and maybe getting a late finish. I could see Charlie Campbell maybe knocking out Peek. We've seen Peek hurt early on. Maybe Charlie Campbell has the power to knock him out. I get to see this fight playing out so many different ways. I don't want to bet really either of these guys, to be honest. Like, I don't want to lay minus 170 on Charlie Campbell, although I think he's the much better fighter. It's hard betting against a guy like Trevor Peek, who's just next level tough, has that dog in him. And then as far as Trevor Peek, I don't want to bet on him because I don't think he's that good, to be honest. Outside of, like I said, those attributes with the heart, the will, the durability, which are great attributes. It's just I don't think the skills are quite there for Trevor Peek yet. Maybe they'll start to come, but it's a fight I'm passing on. I like violence here, obviously, but the fight doesn't go as like minus 400. Like, I could see this fight going to decision. Both these guys are pretty tough. The over-under set at 1.5. The under is juiced to minus 150. I hate that. So not much is sticking out here from a betting perspective. It's one I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to enjoy as a fan. From a DraftKings perspective, I think both guys are in play. I think somebody probably does end up getting knocked out. Trevor Peek at 7,200, although is going to be pretty popular. It's hard not to like some Trevor Peek at that price tag. And then, Charlie Campbell has a lot of power in his own right as well. So I'm going to pick Peek for the win, but I just don't have any confidence on him at all. Brady, why won't you add me to your friends list on Facebook? I don't really get on Facebook, Forrest. I think the last time what is it called on like posted? Is that what they call it on Facebook? Probably like back in like 2013, like 11 years ago. Morono doesn't have a chin either. Yeah, he's been hurt a couple times. Overs in Almeida, Morono, and Bahamondes. I like the first two. Bahamondes is a tough one. Dog of the night, Damon Jackson. Maybe he looked scary. Like, he looked probably the worst on the scale today. Fight of the night right there. Agree. I like Campbell, but just like Almeida, I'm hesitant. Yeah, I'd be hesitant on either of these guys, to be honest. We see Trey saying, hit the like button, guys. Over 100 watching with only 20 likes. Come on, cats. Yeah, if you guys could hit the like button, I do appreciate all the likes. Hit the like button. I agree. Campbell late round subs are juicy. Round 3 sub plus 4,000. Round 2 plus 2,200 worth of sprinkles. Yeah, I guess people are on the subs this week because that sub line for Campbell has came down. I haven't watched any content this week, so I don't know what the heck anybody's liking. Brady, this fight is giving me Bazooka Matthews vibes. I really want Peak to win, so my OnlyFans fake cashes, but I'm hella nervous now, counting on Campbell's Johnny Walker-like fight IQ. I don't know what's going to happen in this fight, Dixon, but what I do know is we're going to enjoy it as fans. It's kind of how I'm seeing it. The last time you bet on over is probably Munoz Phillips, 299. Yeah, I don't know, maybe that could be it. I don't know. I don't bet them often. I'm only friends with James. I saw James Krause had a Facebook post kind of go viral. Let's do it. Let's win some money. Let's win some money. Campbell can finish him. I pick him, but it's close. He could, man. I mean, Campbell's very dangerous, and Peak blocks punches with his face. So really looking forward to this fight. I am not looking forward to this next fight. This is a fight that is actually on a UFC main card, and I can't believe it, but we're going to talk about it. Walter Walker going against Lucas Breski. We got Walter Walker was a massive favorite. Walter Walker opened up minus 400, was minus 450. He's now minus 225. Lucas Breski is now plus 195. So money's came pouring in on Breski throughout the week. And I get it. I mean, I watched tape on Walter Walker. I was extremely unimpressed, to say the least. And I said to myself, like, man, if Walter Walker was fighting anybody other than Lucas Breski, I'd be betting against him here. Like, and I mean anybody. Like, give me anybody. Carlos Felipe, even Chase Sherman. I mean, I would absolutely bet Chase Sherman against Walter Walker. Anybody. Chris Barnett, anybody. But Lucas Breski, I don't know. Like, Walker's gonna be a lot bigger, have a huge height advantage and weight advantage. Like, I think like a 30, 35 pound weight advantage here for Walker. And the one thing I did not mind with Walker is he actually does have some solid wrestling. And I think that could be enough to win the fight for him here. So I'm going to pick Walker, but laying any type of chalk on this guy just doesn't seem like the smartest idea. But at the same time, how can you bet Lucas Breski to win a fight in the UFC? I can't. So I hope Walker wins and looks good, and then maybe fade him next time with like Chase Sherman. But I'll pick him to win a greasy decision. And this was another over I was actually looking at, and I was going to bet it, but the line got crushed. I was looking at the over. I think it was like minus 140 earlier in the week. It's now minus 180. I don't love that, but I think it does go over. It does go to decision. I was thinking even like the fight goes to decision as a bet. It opened up plus 250. It's plus 160. That got crushed. So all these overs in this fight, they've been obliterated. I missed the line. Didn't really check the lines a lot this week. I've been sick. But yeah, those fight goes and overs have all been just obliterated. Seems like people are putting some money on those. So yeah, give me the overs, but they're juiced. I'm not touching this fight, and I don't want to have any money on this fight regardless. From a DraftKings perspective, I actually don't hate like Walker. I think he's going to be semi-low owned, and he actually has some wrestling upside, some takedown upside. I could see him going out there and getting like 6, 7, 8 takedowns. So I don't think he's like the worst play in the world, but again, it's kind of gross. So yeah, just a gross fight that probably shouldn't even be on a UFC card, but for some reason it is. Oh, let's see here. Walker, the best undefeated heavyweight, not named Mick Parkin. Oh man, oh boy. I was just so maybe my expectations were too high with Walter Walker, but he looked rough. They gave him Lucas Lamb to slaughter. Probably, I think that's probably what they're thinking. Walker's not good at all, but so isn't Breski. So just stay away. Agreed. I did Walker Melissa in a 2-leg parlay for minus 133. I think you hit that parlay. Walker barked at him at face-offs. Yes. Brady, I had to take a poke at Breski. Split decision plus 1,800. Not impressed by Walter. I think he's the Herbert Burns of the family. He is, in fact, the Herbert Burns of the family. Yeah, I think that's very much on the table. I think whoever wins this fight, it's probably like a split decision. Terrible fight. Unlike his brother Walter, yes, Walter has a better chin than Johnny Walker. That is true. That is certainly true. Can't trust either of these cats. No, you can't. Your favorite live dogs? I think there's a ton of live dogs, man. I think you can make a case for every single dog on this card. Like, I don't like Nora Cornhole, but I've even seen people like on Nora Cornhole this week. But I think Cesar Almeida is a live dog, Dan Aretta is a live dog, Pedro Falcao is a live dog, GDR is a live dog, Trevor Peek's a live dog, even Breski we just talked about is a live dog. Giagos is live in the first round. Everybody's on Chepe as a live dog. Damon Jackson's live just because Hernandez craps the bed time and time again, and then Chris Curtis is live as well. The only dogs I don't really think are that live is probably Court McGee and then Nora Cornhole. But yeah, lots of live dogs, and all these lines have been smashed. Like a lot, people are kind of seeing the same thing I'm seeing. Like all the underdog lines have kind of dried up at this point on a Friday. Thoughts on Yusuf as an underdog against Diego Lopez? I think a lot of people are going to be on Sadiq Yusuf as an underdog because you take a look at Diego Lopez and I don't know. I've been making so much money on Diego Lopez. I had him finish only against Pat Sabatini big. I had him to finish Gavin Tucker. I had him by sub pretty big as well. And yeah, in theory, Sadiq Yusuf probably like the better fighter. It's just Diego Lopez, I think could potentially be a problem. This is a guy that has power on the feet. He has a very slick submission game. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm probably going to stick with Lopez to maybe get a club and sub, but you can absolutely make a case for Yusuf just stuffing takedowns, just being the better striker because he's the better striker. But I just think Diego Lopez is different. This guy's just different. I think Cornhole has a shot. I wasn't too impressed with Dixon's first fight. Yeah, I mean, Dixon's probably my most confident pick on the card, but I also said that. What did I say that on last week? Oh, Bill Algeo was my most confident pick of the card last week, so maybe I'm wrong again. I think Diego wins, but it feels like recency bias. Yeah, but you could also say that for the Sabatini fight, though. That kind of felt like recency bias. Even the Gavin Tucker fight, maybe he's just good. Maybe Diego Lopez is just good and getting better. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that fight. I had like the under in that fight, and Yusuf like destroyed Barbosa, couldn't finish him, and even Barbosa almost finished Yusuf. It was terrible. All right, let's keep moving on. We have finally a good fight. We got Ignacio Bahamondes going against Christos Giagos. And yeah, I think it's one of those fights where there's like a clear outcome, and it looks like everybody's on it. And the clear outcome is Bahamondes late sub props. They've gotten smashed, which kind of sucks. I had them circled, didn't get to them. By the time I looked at the lines, they were completely smashed. But it makes a lot of sense. Giagos, it's death, taxes, and Giagos getting submitted in the second or third round. That's why I cashed on Daniel Zellhuber round 2 sub at some pretty crazy odds back in last year. And this time, I'm not going to get to the sub per se, but I still like those late finish props for Bahamondes. I have 0.75 units on Bahamondes round 2, and then I have a half unit on Bahamondes round 3. So looking for a Bahamondes late finish. I think Giagos is going to start out hot like he always does, and it's just one of those things where it's like we've seen it so many times. Like Giagos comes out hot, he looks good, he's getting takedowns, he's winning the fight, he's hurting his opponent. And then he gets tired, and then he gets sloppy, and then he shoots in, and then he gets his neck snatched up. It's almost too easy to break this fight down, which it's kind of scary because I'm assuming everybody's on these late props for Bahamondes as well, but it's one of those things where it's like it's so obvious that I kind of just have to play it. Bahamondes 2-3. I think the sub is fine as well, but the sub's been pounded and hammered all throughout the week. I'm assuming it's a very popular play for everybody in the community. But yeah, give me Bahamondes late props. From a DraftKings perspective, you have Bahamondes, who's 9,100. I like it. I think he can weather the early storm, take over 2-3, get that finish. And then Giagos, 7,100. Not the worst start throw in the world, because if he wins, it is probably in the first round. So great fight to target on DK, I think. But looking for some violence here and looking for Bahamondes to get that second or third round finish. 3-legged, a dog parlay. Jose Chepe Mariscal, Ignacio Bahamondes, and Trevor Peek. I think Bahamondes is the favorite, but I got you. So yeah, I'm picking Bahamondes with some confidence. I'm picking Peek with no confidence. I'm actually picking against Chepe, but everybody's on him this week. Brady, I sprinkled Anaconda choke and Darce choke at plus 5,000 for Anaconda, and then plus 3,000 for the Darce for Ignacio. For fundies, I think he can catch one with his long arms. Yeah, I think we're all seeing it the same way. I think he's going to hurt Giagos, and Giagos is going to shoot in and probably get his neck snatched up for the 6th time. Like, Giagos loves getting subbed. Ignacio will get better of him in the 2nd round. I will take a decision. Yeah, could see maybe Giagos winning round 1, and then Ignacio taking 2-3. I could see that. Hi, Brady. Just popping in. Do you think Brendan Allen will try to take the Jack Hermanson approach? Personally, I don't think Brendan has the patience to do it for 5 rounds. No, and I just don't think he's Jack Hermanson is the thing. Like, Jack Hermanson is an extremely underrated striker. I mean, look what he just did to Joe Pyfer. Brendan Allen is not Jack Hermanson, nor do I think he will. Maybe he'll try to take that approach, but I don't think he'll have success doing it. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We got Morgan Charrier going against Jose Chepe Mariscal, and this line has closed a bunch throughout the week as well. We have Charrier opened up minus 145, went all the way down to like minus 170 something whenever I was researching this fight, and he's now down to minus 120. And then Mariscal, he's currently around plus 100. I think even though we have like a ton of popular dogs this week, like everybody's on GDR, everybody's on Aretta, a lot of people on Peak. I think it's between like GDR and Chepe for like the most popular dogs of the week. And I get it. I think it's a close fight. You have Charrier, who I think is pretty good everywhere. I like the striking. I think he has really underrated wrestling. Ground and pound is vicious. Submission game as well from Charrier. And then you got just Chepe, who's just a dog. You know, Chepe's cashed as the dog 2 times in a row, so I see why people are wanting to go back to the well with him. I'm going to pick Charrier. I think it's going to be a close fight. I think he's just a better skilled fighter, but you know, Chepe's going to probably bring a dog fight, and we'll see how Charrier is able to react to that. I think it probably goes to decision. It's probably close. I think the line movement is probably accurate. I think it should be closer to pick him, but I'll stick with my pick of Charrier with not a ton of conviction there. From a DraftKings perspective, it's probably Chepe has 7,900 just because he's cheaper. I don't mind him at 7,900, but fun fight. It's a fun fight. Like, I think this has potential to be fight of the night. Potentially, I think it's like Campbell Peak potential fight of the night, Charrier Chepe potential fight of the night. Like, there's a reason they put this matchup so high up on the main card. So fun fight. I'm gonna sit back and watch, but we'll see. Typically I wouldn't answer this question, New York rental, but since you did generously give a $199 dono, I will be sure to answer this question. So appreciate the dono. Would you smash Andrade or Verna Jandiroba? And it's really not even a question. I think the correct answer would be Jessica Andrade. I don't want to explain any further, to be honest. Morgan looked a fair bit bigger than Chepe. Yeah, he looked in incredible shape. Brady, this PFL minus 1,000 favorites losing has to stop. I mean, that happens all the time, Dixon. You know, PFL, Belgium, we've seen that happen just all the time. It's like, it always happens. Almeida is my favorite dog. Yeah, you can make a case for a lot of these dogs, man. Bulldog are agreeing with me on Andrade. I mean, yeah, it's not even a question. I'm not. Yeah, it's Andrade. Chepe beat Trevor Peak, so it's hard for me to see him losing to anybody. Yeah, he just he outdogged Trevor Peak, which was crazy. Bahamondes and GDR double for 2 months rent. I like it. GDR sketchy, but I think it's the right side. Brady, does it make me a bad Facebook friend if I'm betting against Chepe? He's forcing me to do it. It's by opening an OnlyFans. My hands are tied on this one. Yeah, apparently Chepe does have an OnlyFans, which that one kind of shocked me. A tad. Do you know why DK suspends cash outs on certain fighters? I took Bucka at minus 148, and the line is still the same, but the cash out hasn't been available all week. I'm not sure. It's weird. Like, some sports books, they let you cash out some bets, and then some bets they don't let you cash out. Some sports books are good at like letting you cash out on every single thing, but yeah, some sports books don't do that. It's weird. No problem. I mean, if I wanted to be sure to answer your question, you give a very, very generous dono there. No, not Andrade. I mean, it's not Verna. It's definitely not Verna. I'm a big fan of Verna, but I'm not a big fan of her in that type of way. And that's a wild that's a wild comment there. That is a wild comment. All right. Let's move on. We'll be talking about Jessica Andrade next week. And by the way, I did get out a 60-second prediction for Andrade Marina Rodriguez. I've gotten out, I think, 8 60-second predictions for UFC 300 already on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And by the way, if you guys have not followed me on Instagram, it's DFS by the numbers. I'm putting out a ton of new short video content each week. I hired an editor, so I'm paying weekly for an editor. I think he's doing an incredible job, and I'm hoping those start to catch on. So it's kind of worth it there. Was confident in Chepe till I saw him wearing those sunglasses in the face-offs. Yeah, I don't know if that's his thing or what, but why Andrade? Well, why on? Because I just started to imagine, me and Verna and just looking down and just seeing her face. Oh God, just looking her in the eyes. Oh my God. I hope that answers your question. You heard it here first. Brady only needs 60 seconds with Andrade. Did I hear that right? I only needed 60 seconds to break down the fight. All right, guys. I think we should move on to the next fight. I'm now scarred for life, just even thinking about Verna Jandiroba. Moving on, we have Alexander Hernandez going against Damon Jackson, the co-main event, and very, very weird circumstances at weigh-in. So on one hand, I'm sorry, some of these comments are throwing. Verna looks like Maurice Green. No, she does not. What are you talking about, Dixon? So on one hand, we have Damon Jackson coming in here, making weight, but looking horrible. I mean, Damon Jackson looked rough. Let's see if I can pull up a picture of Damon Jackson. Because, yeah, Damon Jackson looked rough. I worried about him. He's now, how old is he? Like 35? 35 years old. Jeez. Let's see if I can show this to you guys here. This is terrible. Look at that. That's kind of how I looked this Saturday, Sunday. Had the flu. It's kind of how I looked. Like, just like, what? That's bad. So Damon Jackson looked terrible. And then Alexander Hernandez showed up and weighed in at 150, missing weight by a ton. And then they ended up actually making Alexander Hernandez cut an additional 2.5 pounds or so. So Hernandez missed weight, but looked very good. Like when he weighed in at 150, it looked like he didn't really attempt to cut down as much as he could. So they forced him to cut down a little bit more, and he did. And he still looked okay. So I was going to probably take Hernandez inside the distance and by knockout, because I think there's a good chance he does go out there and knock out Damon Jackson. And I think it comes early as well. I think it's kind of a rough matchup for Damon Jackson in terms of I don't see him having success taking down Hernandez, at least early on. And I think the striking is kind of one-way traffic. Damon Jackson's really hittable. I worry about the chin. That weight cut didn't look good. I think Hernandez is live to go out there and starch him. But with Hernandez, you kind of always worry about him kind of falling apart. We've seen him fall apart time and time again. But with that said, I'm not sure what's up with Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson is typically known as, being able to fight deep into the fight, getting better in a lot of fights deep into the fight. That's not the case as of late. Damon Jackson's been looking horrible lately as the fight goes on. So I'm not sure if, he's getting older, he's taking a lot of damage, the weight cut's starting to get to him. But I'm not sure, Damon Jackson has the best cardio in his own right now. So what I just did here was I played the under 2.5. 1.5 units minus 150. I think somebody's getting served here. I think it's Alexander Hernandez knocking out Damon Jackson at some point in this fight. And if Damon Jackson's able to, push a pace, get this fight down to the mat, he probably makes Hernandez crumble. We've seen Hernandez crumble time and time again. He crumbled against Drew Dover. He crumbled against Renato Moicano. He crumbled against Billy Q. He crumbled against Cowboy Cerrone. All 4 of those losses, I think, came in the second round. So he crumbles in the second round a lot. So I think it's, somebody's getting served here. I lean towards Hernandez doing the serving, but I don't like the fact that he did have to go out there and cut those extra 2.5 pounds. So yeah, I was going to play Hernandez inside the distance until I saw that they did make him cut that extra weight. And at that point, I think the under, opted for the under, I think is the better look. So taking the under here, 1.5 units on that. Oh, let's see. Hernandez KO1 and Jackson inside the distance round 3. I kind of thought the same thing, but again, Jackson's looking terrible lately in these later rounds. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but yeah, that makes sense. Brady, come on. Nothing can shake Damon's new hair confidence. Yeah, he did get that new hair. Jackson has to win, or the doctor said he'll take his hair back. Don't be fooled. Brady Jackson is playing possum. What do you think of the Damon Jackson hair transplant? I think it's an upgrade from what he looked like earlier. I don't mind it. I don't know how to factor that into my capping, though. I'm not sure how hair transplants typically do. Don't have the data on that. Hernandez is a quitter. Yes, we've seen him quit 4 times. Alex by KO or Damon by sub is the way I see it. Same. That's why I like that under. Seriously, though, are those hair transplants durable? Like, if he gets cut like he did in the Rosa fight, will that hair survive? We'll have to see. Hard to tell with these weight cuts. You saw Mannon's last week, and she still smoked Aaron. It is tough. It's tough to tell. It's very tough to tell. Mannon looked probably the worst on the scale last week, and she fought the best in the cage on fight day. So, yeah, it's always tough to tell, and it's something you can't really look into that much. Jackson has the worst back tattoo in the UFC. Off the top of my head, I don't know what his back tattoo is. I'll have to check it out. But all right, guys, now we have the main event. Brendan Allen, Chris Curtis. If you guys have not already, be sure to like the video, get those likes up, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Be on the lookout for UFC 300 content. I have to tape maybe 3, maybe 4 fights left for UFC 300. I'm going to be getting out some bets like tonight or tomorrow. They've released some props, some spots sticking out, some money lines sticking out. And then I'll be getting out UFC 300 content. I'm aiming to get my prediction video out on Saturday, tomorrow, Sunday at the latest. And then I have a bunch of 60-second predictions posted, like I said. All right. What is up, Dean? Good to see you. What is Chris Curtis's take and defense? It is 92%. All right. So, yeah, Brendan Allen, Chris Curtis. And this line is kind of interesting. I thought this line would close a little bit throughout the week. It has not. If anything, it's gotten wider. Allen's now minus 220. Chris Curtis is plus 185. And yeah, I mean, it's hard for me not to watch their first fight back and think that Chris Curtis is not live here. I think he's very live here in this matchup. What has happened since then? Well, Chris Curtis, he has gotten older. Maybe he's starting to get on a little bit of a decline. Brendan Allen, he's gotten older as well, but he's a young guy, only 28 years old. We can expect improvements out of him, and Allen's been looking really good as of late. But Chris Curtis has something that a lot of Allen's last wins don't have. So Chris Curtis has takedown defense, unlike Paul Craig, unlike Bruno Silva, unlike Andre Muniz, unlike Christoph Giagos. And then Chris Curtis has durability, unlike Paul Craig, unlike Bruno Silva, unlike Andre Muniz, unlike Sam Alvey. And Chris Curtis has decent cardio, unlike Paul Craig, unlike Andre Muniz, unlike Bruno Silva. So yeah, those are decent wins. It's just Chris Curtis is kind of like, feels like a toughish matchup for Brendan Allen in the sense that Chris Curtis will be able to stuff takedowns. And it's not even a given that Allen is going to attempt takedowns because he's kind of fell in love with his hands. So if you're telling me we're getting a fight that takes place on the feet for 25 minutes, it's like, why is Chris Curtis this big of an underdog? And I can see a scenario where Allen is doing the better work on the feet. I think he could potentially be the minute winner here in this fight. He wasn't in the first fight, but in this fight, sure, we've seen Chris Curtis get outlanded by a lot of guys. We've seen him fall behind in terms of the numbers, but at the end of the day, Chris Curtis is going to have 25 minutes to touch the chin of Brendan Allen. And although I think Allen's striking has improved, he still has a 46% striking defense. He's still very hittable. The chin is still questionable. This is a guy in Allen who's been knocked out twice, one by Curtis, one by Sean Strickland. So I think Curtis is very live for that knockout. And I took a half unit shot on that knockout prop. I think it's around plus 320. I think I think it's plus 320, plus 325 best price right now. So I'm on the Chris Curtis by knockout, just a small shot because I'm fully aware that Chris Curtis, I think he's on the bottom trajectory, whereas Allen's kind of on the top. He's coming up. He's getting better, and he's been looking good lately, whereas Chris Curtis been looking a little flat. So, but yeah, I think Chris Curtis is super live to win this fight. From a DraftKings perspective, both sides in play, 5-round main event. Allen, although popular, like if he does get the fight down to the mat, his ground game is absolutely his best attribute. He's no joke on the mat. It's just, can he get it there? Will he try to get it there is the question. And as far as Chris Curtis, 25 minutes to land that big shot. 7,300, I think, is very intriguing as well. So fun main event, but I'm taking Chris Curtis for the upset in this one. Brady Weisbo, minus 2,400. Well, the reason he's minus 2,400 is just because of how, Cody Brundage looks off bottom. We saw what Mikhail Olazechuk was able to do to him. Nick Maximov was able to do it to him. Rodolfo Vieira was able to do to him. SD Dumas was able to do to him. So it's hard to not see Brundage, get the fight down to the mat, or Nickel get the fight down to the mat and finish Brundage probably in that first round. Breski, sneaker underdog. Walker's not it. Agreed. Like I said earlier, if Walker was fighting anybody other than Breski, I would have already bet the underdog. But if I bet on Lucas Breski and he lost, I don't know if I'd be able to show up next week. The only guy who took down Chris Curtis was Frenchie Nazarene Imavov, and I don't think he was expecting him to shoot at all. Yeah, true. Doubt he would have if that was part of the game plan. Yeah, Chris Curtis's takedown defense is elite. Minus 2,400 is so disrespectful to Brundage. I don't even think he's a good fighter, but isn't it? Yeah, minus 2,400 is like both fighting a one-armed grab. I think if you like Brundage, I know Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast posted this already. Brundage KO1, I think they put at like 55-1, which is like, that's about, you almost get 55-1 for a draw. So they're basically saying that a draw is more likely than Brundage winning the fight in the first round. I think it's hilarious. Over 2.5 rounds, could see it. Could see it 5 rounds, a little bit more tentative, especially Allen. I could see it. I got Allen. Chris sucks. One-dimensional fighter. I don't think he sucks, but Allen is definitely the more well-rounded fighter. Allen could probably easily win this fight if he implemented Hermansson's game plan, but I don't think he will have enough training time to do that well. Allen can take him down, and he will, so it's sub-easy. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he even attempts to take him down is the thing. Like, I've always been yelling at Allen to go for some takedowns, but he never seems to. Could you go over some of your favorite prize picks plays? Yes. So I like Deont less on the fantasy score quite a bit. I like the Bucka less on the fantasy score quite a bit, because even if Bucka does win, I think it's going to be just a ton of control time. And on prize picks, you get no points for control time. Same thing with Deont. If you get no points for control time, and I think a Deont win is just like a cage pushing. Maybe she gets a takedown. So I think those two would be my favorite. I also liked the Pierre Rodriguez less on takedowns, but that fight is canceled. Why do you think Allen can take him down? I mean, he could, but Curtis is not easy to take down. Potential fights go the distance. Let's see. I think Walter Walker Breski can. Morono McGee can. Deont GDR can. Hugo Falcao can. Aretta Matsumoto can. Dylan Bucka Almeida can. Even like Mullins Cornhole can. The only fights I'm pretty confident finish would be like the main event, Hernandez Jackson. I'd be kind of surprised if the Bahamondes fight didn't finish. And then Pete Campbell, I guess it could go the distance, but that'd be a surprise as well. Yeah, Brundage and Gilly, round 1. He's going to try for it. I mean, if you're telling me Brundage is going to attempt a round 1 guillotine and you're giving me 55-1, maybe you could sprinkle that. Brady, if someone gave you $1 million to bet on whether Brundage pulls Gilly at least once versus Bo, yeah, I mean, yes, it's happening. It's not a whether, if I think it or not, it is happening. If Nickel beats Brundage, give him Chris Curtis. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing, Nickel fight somebody decent, because we haven't seen that yet. Chepe Shier goes the distance. I can see that. I'm liking GDR. I am too, but I missed the line by a mile. Let's see. Like his training partner, Curtis will do nothing and cry about it when he loses the decision. I think that's on the table, James. I really do. I could see it. Because sometimes Curtis doesn't do a lot in there. Calvillo fight off, yes. So that is about all I got for you guys today. Thank you all for watching. We have 350 of you in here between YouTube and Twitter. Appreciate you guys for hanging out on a Friday. I know it's not the best card in the world. Next week will be the best card in the world for UFC 300. Really looking forward to next week. I have a lot more action next week, but tune into the betting breakdown video, which should be out in the next couple hours. I'll go over my 6 bets there, and then also be on the lookout for best bet tomorrow. Going to be going live at 1 o'clock Eastern time. The fights kick off at 3. We finally have a good start time. And other than that, early content for UFC 300 as well. So yeah, looking forward to do this week, to next week especially. And best of luck, everybody, for UFC Vegas 90, Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis. And we'll talk to you guys very soon. See you later.